Hello, hello! Pete's Pax here, and we are back with Fallout Commander Deck number 4. This is Science! Which is the Jeskai colored one. So without much ado, let's get into this. Okay. Alright, so we have a themed deck box, just as with the other ones. The simple tuck box, but still nice. Well designed. Fits on theme. Got the deck. A little fold-up pamphlet about it. 3 counters, or 3 tokens rather, to represent anything from like rad counters to any number of other things. Right. And on the other side, we've got 8 different counters. Not sure what all these are supposed to be, but that'll make sense, I guess. And then there's the envelope of goodness. All right. In the envelope of goodness, we have our collector booster sample pack, which we will open all of those in their own video, and a nice double-sided themed spend down life counter. So it's nice that they did themed ones this time around. In some of the previous decks, they did unthemed ones. Which, you know, it's always great when you pay for a premium product and then get a generic kind of filler item with it. All right, in the pamphlet, we have a little portrait of Dr. Madison Lee. And then a blurb about Dr. Madison Lee and Liberty Prime Recharged, which are 2 face commanders. There's also a little blurb about the color pie and why these 2 commanders are blue, red, white aligned. And on the other side, we have playing the deck, Science! And a quick overview of the commander rules. Which, you know, it's in every one of these pamphlets. Alright, now we're to the star of the show. This is the deck. And we'll pull it in so you can see it a little better. And get over, or get on reviewing these. Focus. Alright, so starting things off, we have Dr. Madison Lee. Blue, red, white for a 2/3 legendary human scientist. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get an energy counter. Oh no, energy's back. I still have flashbacks, I'm getting flashbacks from Kaladesh. Tap, pay an energy, target creature gets +1/+0, and gains trample and haste until end of turn. Tap, pay 3 energy, draw a card. Tap, pay 5 energy, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. This is going to be a problem commander at some point. Alright, then we have Liberty Prime Recharged. 2 blue, red, white for an 8/8 legendary artifact creature robot with vigilance, trample, haste. Whenever it attacks or blocks, sacrifice it unless you pay 2 energy. 2, tap, sacrifice an artifact. You gain 2 energy and draw a card. Okay. Paladin Dance. Or Dance, I guess. Steel Maverick. 2 and a white for a 3/3 legendary artifact creature. Synth Knight with vigilance and lifelink. Exile it. Each creature you control that's an artifact or human gains indestructible until end of turn. Oh, I've experienced this a few times. That would be Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage. Yeah. Okay. 2 and a blue. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature. When Nerd Rage enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. Enchanted creature has, you have no maximum hand size. And whenever this creature attacks, if you have 10 or more cards in hand, it gets +10/+10 until end of turn. I feel attacked. Robo Brain Warmind. 3 and a blue for an X5 artifact creature robot. Its power is equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you gain an amount of energy equal to the number of artifact creatures you control. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 3 energy. If you do, draw a card. Bottle Cap Blast. 4 and a red, instant. Improvise. Your artifacts can help cast a spell. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities pays for 1. Bottle Cap Blast deals 5 damage to any target. If excess damage was dealt to a permanent this way, create that many tap treasure tokens. Oh, that's pretty cool. Elder Owen Leons. Or Lions? Leons. 2 white blue for 3/3 legendary human knight. Artifacts you control have ward 1. Whenever an artifact you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 1. When this enters the battlefield or dies, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Very nice. Behemoth of Vault 0. Oh, there's a Vault 0. 6 mana, 6/6 artifact creature robot with trample. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 4 energy. When it dies, you pay an amount of energy equal to target non-land permanent's mana value. When you do, destroy that permanent. Ooh, that could be really useful. That could do some silly stuff with, what's it called? Goblin Welder. Camp, or CAMP. You know, that looks like a shopsmith. Which was a really cool all-in-one workshop kind of tool. I remember, I think it was one of my uncles had one when I was a kid. But 3 mana artifact fortification. Hey, we haven't seen fortification since Future Sight, I think. It may have been some in Infinity. Or one of the other unsets. Not sure. Whenever a fortified land is tapped for mana, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. If that creature shares a color with the mana that land produced, create a junk token. Fortify 3. 3 mana attached to target land you control. Fortify only as a sorcery. That's cool. Endurance Bobblehead. 3 mana artifact Bobblehead. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. 3 and tap, up to X target creatures you control, get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. Where X is the number of bobbleheads you control as you activate this ability, activate only as a sorcery. I think it kind of stinks that this is activated only as a sorcery. It really limits its usefulness, but I think it'll still be good. Expert Level Safe, 2 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, exile the top 2 cards of your library face down. 1, tap. You and target opponent each secretly choose 1, 2, or 3. Then those choices are revealed. If they match, sacrifice Expert Level Safe and put all cards exiled with it into their owner's hands. Otherwise, exile the top card of your library face down. Okay. That could get really interesting pretty quickly. Intelligence Bobblehead. 3 mana artifact Bobblehead. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. 5, tap, draw X cards, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. Nice. Nuka-Cola Vending Machine. 3 mana artifact. 1, tap, create a food token. It's an artifact with 2, tap, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. Whenever you sacrifice a food, create a tap treasure token. That with, the manufacturer thing. I think it's Academy Manufacturer. Does some silly stuff. Crush Contraband. 3 and a white, instant. Choose 1 or both. Exile target artifact, exile target enchantment. Dispatch. For a white instant, tap target creature. Metalcraft, if you have 3 or more artifacts, exile that creature instead. Well, I guess it's not instead. You tap it, then you exile it, I guess. Swords to Plowshares, the best piece of removal ever printed. For a white, you get an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Glimmer of Genius. 3 and a blue, instant. Scry 2, then draw 2 cards. You get 2 energy. Thirst for Knowledge. 2 and a blue, instant. Draw 3 cards. Then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. I believe also currently in Standard. Whirler Rogue. 2 blue for a 2/2 human rogue artificer. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. Tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Very good for powering something through, and it's also just a very efficient creature. Loyal Apprentice. 1 in a red for a 2/1 human artificer with haste. And Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. That token gains haste until end of turn. Unexpected Windfall. 2 red instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card. Draw 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. Arcane Signet. 2 mana artifact that taps for your commander's color identity. Everflowing Chalice. 0 mana artifact with multi-kicker 2. You may pay an additional 2 any number of times as you cast a spell. Enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it for each time it was kicked. Tap, add colorless for each charge counter on Everflowing Chalice. Keep in mind you can proliferate onto this to keep getting more mana. Lightning Greaves. 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has haste and shroud. Equip 0. Is a commander staple. Mind Stone. 2 mana artifact. Taps for a colorless. 1 tap and sacrifice it. Draw a card. Soul Ring. We all know what this does by now, but 1 mana artifact that taps for 2. Talisman of Conviction. 2 mana artifact. Taps for 1. And then tap for a red or a white. It deals 1 damage to you. Same, but for Talisman of Creativity, same, but for blue and red. And then Talisman of Progress, the same, but for white and blue. Thought Vessel, 2 mana artifact. You have no maximum hand size. Taps for 1. Automated Assembly Line. 1 in a white artifact. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get an energy. Pay 3 energy, create a tapped 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. Very nice. I think that may be new. Brotherhood Scribe. 1 in a white for a 1/3 human artificer with Metalcraft. Tap, you get an energy. Activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. Whenever you get 1 or more energy during your turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. That is a little silly. Because that counts any time you get an energy. One moment. All right, now we have Over Encumbered. 1 in a white, enchantment aura, enchant opponent. Whenever it enters the battlefield, enchanted opponent creates a clue token, a food token, and a junk token. At the beginning of combat on enchanted player's turn, that player may pay 1 for each artifact they control. If they don't, creatures can't attack this combat. This is just rude. Also, I could see this seeing quite a bit of play as a sideboard card in Legacy to maybe even Vintage to shut down like workshop decks and like 8-cast decks. The Pyrdwin Steel Flagship. Oh, Pridewin. The Pridewin. Okay. Let's see if that'll focus a little better. Okay, 4 white for 6/6 legendary artifact vehicle. Flying. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white human knight creature token. With this creature gets +2/+2. As long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, crew 2. It's too bad this isn't modern legal, because that would be nice in Greasefang. Sentry Bot, 4 and a white for a 2/5 artifact creature robot with flash. It costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. Or, sorry, not for each attacking creature you control, for each creature attacking you. When it enters the battlefield, you gain an energy for each creature attacking you. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Wow. Okay. Talk about a punishing crackback. Vault 13, Dweller's Journey. 3 and a white for a 3-chapter enchantment saga. Chapter 1, for each player, exile up to 1 other target enchantment or creature that player controls until Vault 13 leaves the battlefield. Chapter 2, you gain 2 life and scry 2. Chapter 3, return 2 cards exiled with Vault 13 to the battlefield under their owner's control and put the rest on the bottom of their owner's library. Let's play some neat politics with that. Curie, Emergent Intelligence. 1 and a blue for a 1/3 legendary artifact creature robot. Whenever this deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its base power. 1 and a blue, exile another non-token artifact creature you control. Curie becomes a copy of the exiled creature, except that it has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its base power. Oh, nice. Seems like a slightly better Ophidian in a lot of ways. James, Wandering Dad. 2 and a blue for 2/4 legendary creature, human scientist. With tap, add 2 colorless. Spend this mana only to activate abilities, and then it has an adventure side of Follow Him. X blue for an instant adventure, investigate X times. Okay, that's cool. You can create a whole bunch of clue tokens. Nick Valentine, Private Eye. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary artifact creature, Synth Detective. It can't be blocked except by artifact creatures. Whenever it or another artifact creature you control dies, you may investigate. So this plus March of the Machine just makes infinite ETB and death triggers. Because March of the Machine makes all of your artifacts creatures with power and toughness equal to their CMC. Tokens would have CMC 0, so they'd be 0/0, so they'd die. And then you'd make another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. Indefinitely. So hopefully you have... it's a you may investigate, so you can't stop it, but it gives you an arbitrarily large number of ETB and death triggers for both artifacts and creatures. Synth Infiltrator, 3 blue for a 0/0 artifact creature synth with improvise. Your artifacts can help you cast a spell for each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities. Pays for 1. You may have Synth Infiltrator enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a Synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. Assaultron Dominator, 1 in a red for a 2/2 artifact creature robot. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Whenever an artifact creature you control attacks, you may pay an energy. If you do, put your choice of a 1/1 first strike or a trample counter on that creature. Nice. The Motherlode Excavator. 3 red for a 5/5 legendary artifact creature robot. When it enters the battlefield, choose target opponent. You get an amount of energy equal to the number of non-basic lands that player controls. Whenever the Motherlode attacks, you may pay 4 energy. When you do, destroy target non-basic land defending player controls, and creatures that player controls without flying can't block this turn. Plasma Caster. 1 in a red for a artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you get 2 energy counters. Pay 2 energy. Choose target creature that's blocking equipped creature. Flip a coin. If you win the flip, exile the chosen creature. Otherwise, Plasma Caster deals 1 damage to it. Equip 2. Synth Eradicator. 2 in a red for a 3/3 artifact creature Synth Soldier with haste. Whenever it attacks, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may get 2 energy counters. If you don't, you may play that card this turn. Tap, pay 3 energy. Synth Eradicator deals 3 damage to any target. That's useful. Arcade Ganon. 2 white-blue for 2/3 legendary creature, Human Doctor. Tap, draw a card, then discard a card. Put a quest counter on Arcade Ganon. For Auld Lang Syne. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an artifact or human spell from your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to the number of quest counters on Arcade Ganon. That's pretty cool. Electrosiphon. Blue, red, instant, counter target spell. You get an amount of energy equal to its mana value. Oh man, I am glad this was not in Kaladesh. Or Aether Revolt. This would have been miserable as a card. Red Death, Shipwrecker. Blue-red for a 1/3 legendary creature. Legendary creature Crab Mutant. With alluring eyes, tap, goad target creature an opponent controls. That player draws a card, you add red. Until your next turn, that creature attacks each combat if able, and attacks a player other than you if able. Interesting. A lot of politics you could play with that. Rex, Cyberhound. 1 white-blue for 2/2 legendary artifact creature, Robot Dog. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they mill 2 cards, and you get 2 energy. Pay 2 energy, choose target creature card in a graveyard, exile it with a brain counter on it, activate only as a sorcery. Rex has all activated abilities of all cards in exile with brain counters on them. Okay. That could get very silly very quickly. This goes infinite with any number of things. Gonna have to find a way to break that. Sentinel Sarah Lyons. Or Lions. One or the other. 3 red white for 4/4 legendary Human Knight with haste. As long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn, creatures you control get +2/+2. Battalion. Whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, it deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to target player. Sean, Father of Synths. 3 blue-red for 3/4 legendary Human Scientist. Whenever you attack, you may create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of target attacking legendary creature you control other than Sean, except it's non-legendary, and it's a synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. Whenever Sean leaves the battlefield, exile all synth tokens you control. Very cool. Vault 112, Sadistic Simulation. 2 blue-red for a 3-chapter enchantment saga. Chapters 1 and 2, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. You gain 2 energy. Chapter 3, pay any amount of energy. If you paid 1 or more energy this way, shuffle your library, then exile that many cards from the top. You may play one of those cards without paying its mana cost. Man, that could be very good. Brotherhood Vertibird. 3 mana artifact. Vehicle. That's an X4 with flying. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. Crew 2. T45 Power Armor. 2 mana artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay an energy. If you do, untap equipped creature, then put your choice of menace, trample, or lifelink counter on it. Equip 3. All right. Ferris Lake. Filters 1 into blue-red. Helios 1. It's a land that taps for a colorless. 1 tap, you get an energy counter. 3 tap, pay X energies, sacrifice Helios 1, destroy target non-land permanent with mana value X, activate only as a sorcery. Very cool. That's on a land too, man. Austere Command. 4 white, sorcery, choose 2, destroy all artifacts, enchantments, all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. Open the vaults. Oh, cool. That's got a reprint. 4 white, sorcery, return all artifact and enchantment cards from all graveyards to the battlefield under their owner's control. Auras with nothing to enchant remain in the graveyard. Mechanized Production. 2 blue, enchantment aura, enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. Keep in mind this includes clues, food, treasure, junk, etc., etc. One with the Machine. 3 and a blue, sorcery, draw cards equal to the highest mana value among artifacts you control. Very nice. Wake the Past. 5 red, white, sorcery, return all artifact cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn. Ooh, that's going to be fun. Mystic Forge. All right, we get new art. 4 mana artifact. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library. Tap, pay 1 life. Exile the top card of your library. Great card in Legacy. It doesn't really have any uses in Modern at the moment from what I remember. There might be a deck or two that uses it, but very fun card. Panharmonicon, and it's a harmonica. Oh, that's silly. 4 mana artifact. If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Basically, it doubles ETB triggers. It's a fun one. On artifacts and creatures. Solemn Simulacrum. 4 mana 2/2 artifact creature golem. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. When it dies, you may draw a card. Just a classic value card. Steel Overseer. Another great reprint. 2 mana 1/1 artifact creature construct. Tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. Huh. That's a great flavor text. They put a programming joke. Well, it's a security joke, but yeah. Clifftop Retreat. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain or plains. Taps for a red or a white. Exotic Orchard. Taps for any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Glacial Fortress. Same as Clifftop Retreat, but for blue-white. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control a plains or an island. Taps for blue-white. Irrigated Farmland. It is a plains island that enters tapped and cycles for 2. Prairie Stream. Also a plains island. Enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Skycloud Expanse. Filters for a white-blue. Spire of Industry. Very nice. A lot of great reprints in this one. Tap, add a colorless. Tap, pay a life. Add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if you control an artifact. Sulphur Falls. Enters tapped unless you control an island or a mountain. Taps for a blue or a red. Temple of Enlightenment. It is one of the temples, which means it comes into play tapped. When it enters, you scry one, and then it taps for one of two colors. This is the blue-white one. We have Temple of Epiphany, which is the blue-red one. And not sure why the red-white one isn't there, but we have Treasure Vault. It's an artifact land that taps for colorless, and then XX tap, sacrifice it, create X treasure tokens. This was in standard about 2 years ago. Wayfarer's Bauble. 1 mana artifact. 2, tap, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Ash Barrens, Pauper All-Star. It's a land that taps for colorless and has basic land cycling 1. So for 1, you can discard it and search your library for a basic land, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Buried Ruin, taps for a colorless. 2, tap and sacrifice it, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Very nice. Command Tower, we all know what this does. Taps for your commander's color identity. Evolving Wilds. Tap, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Myriad Landscape, enters tap, taps for a colorless. 2, tap, sacrifice it, search for 2 basic lands that share a land type, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Keep in mind that does not get waste, because waste is not a land type. Mystic Monastery, enters tapped, taps for blue, red, or white. Path of Ancestry, enters tapped, taps for your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. Razortide Bridge, artifact land that enters tapped, has indestructible, and taps for a blue or a white. This is really popular in the whole cycle of these actually is really popular in Pauper at the moment. Rustveil Bridge, same but for red-white. Silver Bluff Bridge, same but for blue-red. Terramorphic Expanse, functional reprint of Evolving Wilds. Tap, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Now we've got to the basics. We have Full Art Islands. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 2 different arts. Mountains. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 with 2 different arts. Plains. 1, 2, 3, 4 with 2 different arts. Then we have our etched foil Dr. Madison Lee face commander card. It is the extra thick version. All right, now we have our tokens. So we've got an energy reserve. This is the, I believe, the first new art for an energy reserve that we've had. I used to use Pokemon energy cards for mine. On the back, we have a treasure. Then there's a human knight token. It's a 2/2 that gets +2/+2 as long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn. We have 2 of those. On the backside, there are a food and a copy token. Then we have 2 1/1 flying Thopter tokens. One is a treasure, the other is a junk on the backside. Then there's a copy token. There's a clue on the back. There's 2 treasure tokens. One's a human knight, the other's a clue. Then we have a food token that is a robot, a 3/3 artifact creature robot. We have a 3/3 artifact creature robot that is a treasure token. Very nice. I like how they're Nuka-Cola bottle caps. There's a learn to play QR code card and a turn order and format reminder card. Very nice. Well, thank you for joining me on this adventure to the Wastelands with the Fallout Commander deck number 3, Science, which is the blue, white, red one. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. We have a couple more Fallout videos coming, namely the collector box and the 16 collector booster sample packs, which will be coming out in the next couple days. But yeah, until next time, stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.